Hi, my name is Cody Brobston, and I'm going to be talking about technology in the aquarium industry. So let's get started. So there's a few tasks to automate. Water changes are definitely the biggest ones. They take up the most of my time when I'm performing maintenance and stuff on my tanks. On my 65 gallon, I have to take about 20 gallons out or so, and then replace it with tap water into chlorinator. Takes me 20 minutes to an hour, depending on how much I try to clean in the meantime. And it's really annoying, and it's the thing I put off. And if I put it off too much, everything starts to get sick and die. So it's very important, and I would love to automate it. The other thing is testing the different parameters and recording them. Sure, there's plenty of ways like Excel and stuff that you could input your data, but it would be nice to have something to automatically do it for you and graph it and show you the trends in pH and temperature and whatnot. Cleaning the glass, it's super easy, but there are actually some products that do it, and I'm curious how well they work. Um, Medications and fertilizers, I have to dose fertilizers once a week, and I liquid CO2 every morning for my planted tank. It can get it's not too bad, but again, there is a way to automate it. And then of course feeding the fish. So one thing to know before we get started is the aquarium nitrogen cycle. You start out with the fish, you feed them. It's your only input into the system because remember it's a closed system. Um, the food with fish waste turns into ammonia almost immediately if you have a cycled tank with something that's not brand new. The beneficial bacteria will convert it to the ammonia to nitrite. And then there's a second type of bacteria that takes longer, which is why it takes like 2 months or so to get a tank up and running healthy, converts that to nitrate. Nitrate is a lot less toxic than the other two, and it builds up over time, and that's why we do water changes. And once it's established, there's no real need to test for ammonia nitrite. It's just to see how far along in the cycling process you are. Once it's all cycled, uh, ammonia and nitrite get converted almost immediately, and nitrate just slowly builds up. So here are a few new products on the market that I found. They're mostly little Kickstarter companies and whatnot. Um, so first there's the MOI or MOAI. It's like an alert system on your phone. The GHL doser. It's like a peristaltic pump that helps you dose medications or fertilizers automatically, and you can set it up sequentially. Fishbit, which is another monitoring system, but a little more simple. Senai, I believe, is another just monitoring system, I think. And Blue Narrow is the world's most advanced smart aquarium. It's like an all-in-one, and I'll get to show you that in a little bit. So here's the Moai. Over here on the left, you can see it's kind of like a Roomba. It's not new technology. It says that it uses ultrasound radar, and it knows its initial position with this device in the corner, and then you can see how it tracks across the glass. Who knows how well this does it? It's just basically a magnet. The only cool thing about this is it has a wide-angle camera on the outside that looks inwards, obviously, and you can see that on your phone, and you can actually control it like a little robot and go explore different parts of your tank while you're out of town or whatnot. The downside is it only cleans the front face, and I know from experience, corners and the edges, it's not going to clean very well. So it's more of a toy than a device. I doubt that it would actually take care of the cleaning entirely. So next up we have the doser. This has been around for quite a while, like 80s, 90s. The cool thing about this the new thing I should say, is that it's a smart doser. So it comes again with its own app, and you can control everything wirelessly. You can get alerts, you can change the levels, um, and it's got a bunch of LEDs on it to let you know what it's doing. And you can set them up in series, so you can have up to like 24 things, I think, dosing. So I'm not quite sure why you would need 24 different things, but there are some pretty crazy setups for reef aquariums, which I am just getting into. And this is the fish bit. I think it's a play off of Fitbit, but it's this little magnetic device with some wires coming out of it that you put just somewhere unnoticeable in the back of your tank. Again, hook it up to its own app, and you should be able to view temperature, pH, and salinity. Um, Temperature usually stays pretty constant, and you can always use a just thermometer probe. There's digital ones for like $3. pH, there's color changing things that you put in your tank, but they're like $5, and it will tell you constantly just by as you walk by your aquarium what the pH is, or you can test for it in 10 seconds or less. The salinity there's plenty of ways to test for salinity. There's some accurate ones that take 30 seconds and some less accurate ones that are almost immediate. So all in all, this only saves you to do all of them one after the other like a minute. And they're not things that you would need to test that regularly other than salinity. Temperature can fluctuate a little bit. You just want alerts for when your heater breaks or you have a heat surge or something out of the ordinary. It's not something you would usually test for, which it does give you critical alerts, so that's its plus. Um, and it does have a camera on it, but they're pretty pricey, and it's again seems more like a toy than something to automate. Here's the Senai. It's just like the other one, minus the camera and plus ammonia testing. But if you remember, once a tank is cycled, there's no need to test for ammonia. That's only to check to see if the system has crashed, which you would probably know. So you can see here it tests for temperature, ammonia, pH, and forget what this one is down here. But it just checks the vital signs, but it's nothing. I think that's salinity at the bottom. There's nothing really vital that it tests for. And again, it has its own app and a huge price tag. This is the Blue Narrow, which is pretty cool, but a bit pricey and a little excessive. It has automatic feeding. It has LEDs, which everything has. Built-in camera, its own app again. Fresh and saltwater friendly, which any tank can be converted one way or the other. Temperature adjustment, you have that on every heater. pH and salinity testers, that's, again, we saw other ways to do that, and it's supposed to be silent. But the cool thing is you get to see the internals, and it has the logic board right here, and you can see kind of how it's controlled. And LED power strip, pH sensor, salinity sensor, auto feeder, which are cheap. You can actually get an auto feeder for $10 or something and just hook it onto the back. So it's nothing to spend hundreds of dollars for. And I'm a little worried about this tiny little filter. It does not look like it has enough in there to filter a large bioload. Anyway, this gave me an idea. With just a few sensors and a logic board, you could do this yourself. So there's a few issues with all this new tech. They only address the easy issues, and they all have their own apps and huge price tags. and there's no nitrate monitoring or automated water changes, which is what is the most annoying part about the hobby that you would spend the most time doing. So, solution is Raspberry Pi. As always, every DIY project can use a Raspberry Pi. You see here, you can monitor the temperature, the heating over time. You can hook up tons of equipment, your heater, your fans, your skimmers, your pumps, turn them on and off, regulate them on timers, whatever you want. The lights, you can have it gradually go up to 100%, so you can simulate sunrise and sunset. I've seen some really cool setups with speakers and lights that simulate a whole thunderstorm. And then you just have the CPU memory and usage over time. And it looks complicated, but there's hundreds of guides that give you little step-by-steps. And it is a open source project. It's called ReefPi. It's modular, affordable, and extendable. Can automate day-to-day reef keeping chores such as auto top-off, which is fantastic, temperature control, dawn to dusk light cycle, automated dosing, pH monitoring, and more. And then I found this. So my dreams of never having to test for nitrate again could be true for a price tag of $200. So this must be the reason why it is not standard on a lot of these automated systems, is the sensor alone would be hundreds of dollars. So currently the way to test for nitrates is, I don't know if you in like a high school lab, it's like for pH, you're matching the colors and they're very similar, and it's very important to get an accurate reading. So you don't know if it's 20 or 40 parts per million, because it's like, is it red or this slightly redder red? It's very annoying. But they could all be solved with the ReefPi, and I think I'm going to take a crack at it later this summer. So anyway, here are my resources, and this was just a general overview of some of the new tech in the aquarium industry.